it going, boys? Straight out of the UK. So, today we're going to be taking a bit of a detour. Rather than breaking down my day, which went phenomenal, maybe we'll do that towards the end, I will instead dive into a topic that I was thinking about today on the train ride over to meet Dirty Dan for our filming session. And so, I'll start this live stream off with a paragraph and then we'll get into the topic, all right? So, the paragraph I wrote is, if life is about the journey, I'm reading from my laptop, right? If life is about the journey and we're always dissatisfied when we reach what we thought was the destination, then we should not only focus on enjoying the journey, but we should make the journey as enjoyable as possible. Which means, rather than existing every day in a life that we hate, hoping that happiness is achieved once we reach the destination, we should instead focus on creating an everyday life that we love, knowing that the destination is never as satisfying as we imagined. Okay. What the fuck am I talking about, firstly? Yeah, and I understand that was a mouthful, but we'll break this down and I'll give you concrete examples of what I mean, and then we'll tie this all into cold approach at the end. All right. So, firstly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ephraim. I'm a 25-year-old American introvert. I have a background in software engineering and software sales, and I left that life behind to pursue what I do now, which is teaching high achieving, introverted, busy professionals how to change their entire dating reality around in the span of 3 days without having to change who they are. And the way that I help them achieve this is by giving them my Quiet Confidence playbook through one on one private coaching. And my clients are all around the globe. I've coached guys in different countries, different continents even, and now they're taking the skill set, they're applying it like madmen, and they're flying with it, getting dates on demand. In fact, my client Isaac had a date yesterday just from linking up with me and having a fun little session. He got himself a date on the same day. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Now, if you are already familiar with me and you like my content and you like my mission and you like my style and you want me to teach you what I can do so that you can do it instead of watching me get dates, now you get dates. Instead of watching my clients get dates, now you get dates. Then click the first link below this video and book in a free application call with me. Schedule that so we can see if we're a good fit for the program, all right? I'm very particular with who I work with, and if we're not a good fit, I'm just going to be honest about it, and I'll put you in the right direction. I'll give you as much advice as possible, and I'll answer all your questions. But if we are a good fit, then you build this skill set, and your life is never the same. Okay, so let's get into the topic at hand. All right, so I'm going to read that paragraph again later on in the video, but that paragraph is the thesis of today's video. All right, so again, it's a thought that I had as I was dramatically staring at my reflection on the window of the London Underground tube. Yeah, I could see myself back in the reflection, and I was just thinking about the life that I'm living now, the life that I was living just 3 months ago, and how much more satisfied I am every day now just waking up. Yeah, just waking up, knowing that I don't have to be somewhere, knowing that I don't have a boss telling me where I can and can't go, knowing that I don't have to show up at an office at a certain time. And, the reason I was having these thoughts is because today was a grind, right? I've been filming for 20 days straight now, and I'm in a new country, new culture, never been here. And it was a little difficult to get up today. I'll be honest. Yeah, no, I don't have any weekends. It's just every day, go, go, go. And so today I woke up again, 20th day in a row, tired, exhausted, and not really feeling it. But as I got myself up, I showered, I got into that tube, onto that train, and I was staring at my reflection, thinking about, yeah, I'm a bit tired today. Yeah, I don't really feel like filming and approaching today. I quickly stopped that thought pattern, and I just reminded myself of where I was, let's say, 3 months ago. And where I was 3 months ago was I was working a shit job that I hated. It was software sales. So technically, it's not really a shit job. It's actually a job that people strive for. But to me, it was shit. And the reason it was shit was not because of the lack of status. I know plenty of guys that strive to be software engineers like I used to be, software salesmen, tech sales bros like I used to be, and they see it as a very high status kind of a job. And so that's not why it's shit. The pay is not why it was shit, right? It was actually very well paying. But why I believed it was shit was because every day I woke up, I didn't want to do it, but I had to spend 8+ hours a day doing it anyways, and I didn't want to do it. That's the thing. Is like, Okay, it gives you the high status title. Wow, my dad can say, yeah, my son is a software salesman. He's in tech sales, San Francisco, Silicon Valley. Okay, yeah, it gives me a little bit of a status boost, I guess. When I chat to girls, I can say, yeah, I sell software. Oh, look at me, look at Ephraim, right? Money wise, it wasn't a problem, right? Every paycheck looked decent, especially the commission checks, right? So money wise, it was not a problem. But lifestyle wise, it was a big problem because I didn't like the life that I was living every day that I woke up. And then when I had days off, like Saturday and Sunday, I couldn't even enjoy them because in the back of my brain, I was thinking, oh shit, we're already halfway through Saturday. Monday's right around the corner. I wake up on Sunday, I go, fuck, oh, I don't even want to get out of bed because that means I'm going to burn through Sunday. I'm already halfway through my weekend. That means I'm going to have to go to sleep, wake up on Monday early, clock into this shit job that I don't like, cold call all day, get hung up on from CFOs and accountants all day, just to do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. Just I was living for the weekend, right? And I didn't even like the weekend because I couldn't stop thinking about Monday morning when the weekend came. All right. And so we're going to go pretty deep in this live stream, but just to share with you that not too long ago, I was experiencing exactly what I'm talking about on this live stream. And me being in that underground tube today on that train, staring at my reflection, thinking about, oh, I'm tired today, I don't really want to film. I was able to very quickly correct that thought pattern by just remembering where I was 3 months ago and going, this is so much better. Are you kidding me? It's like, what am I doing on a daily basis now? I'm waking up in a new country. I get new people, new culture, new scenes, and I'm walking over to girls all day long on film, chatting to girls, chatting to Camera Dan, Dirty Dan, the filthiest cameraman. Yeah, having fun. He's got his pack of jelly beans that we're eating along the way. Yeah, we're just taking the piss out of life. Then there's a hot girl that walks by. Then I run over and do my thing. Yeah, line up dates for you on camera. Yeah, then I do a breakdown, and it's like I'm every day I'm waking up and I'm pursuing a mission that I believe in, and the actual activities that I'm doing are very fun activities. Yeah, so it's like obviously anything's a drag when you do it 20 days in a row nonstop. But I really just, it took 2 seconds for me to refocus and go, wait a second. 3 months ago, I fucking hated every day. 3 months ago, it was like I had this channel on the back burner because all my focus was going into that tech sales job. And when I clocked out of that job, the rest of my focus was going into teeing myself up for the next day of that job, which was prospecting and finding companies to reach out to and contacts to reach out to. I was doing that on my after hours, all because I wanted to get ahead. All because what? I don't really know why, right? Because I wanted a bigger commission check, I guess. Because I wanted to be seen as top of the leaderboards of that job, I guess. Why was I really doing it? I don't know, but I'm so glad that I stopped, and I wish that I stopped so much sooner. But hey, life is about these lessons, right? Learning these lessons as we go. So hopefully, me explaining my journey will help you to avoid the mistakes that I've made thus far. And I'm only 25, but I can still look back on life and go, I wish I did so many things so much earlier. But I am glad that I did it when I did because I could have let another 10 years go by and I wouldn't have made these changes until I was 35, for example. All right. So the first thing I want to cover is the three agreed upon areas of life that are pretty much essential for humans to flourish. All right. And so you've heard this before. I don't know if I've said it on my channel, but you've heard this. Everybody's heard this, right? The health, wealth, relationships, right? So those three buckets are pretty much buckets that everybody needs to have like a baseline minimum of satisfaction in each area in order for life to feel overall satisfactory. But if you have two of the areas sorted, but you're completely lacking one of the areas, life feels fucked. And it probably feels fucked to a different degree for a different bucket, but we're going to go over each of the buckets and why life sucks when one of them is lacking, and why all three of them need to be at a baseline level, and then how we can tie that into this paragraph that I've just read for you, and how you can just recreate your entire life. Because a lot of times we think that the happiness is attached to getting to the destination, and then we get to the destination and we realize this wasn't as good as I thought. Just like the climax, yeah, when we're having sex, just like we reach a monetary amount in our bank account, our first 10,000, $50,000 in our bank account, and we go, okay, this feels all right, but now I need more, right? Same with the sex, same with the relationships aspect, right? Same with the health, same with the fitness. The bodybuilder, he reaches a certain bench press. Now he can bench 315 and he goes, I thought I'd be a lot happier, but now I just want to hit 405 on bench press, right? And it's like we're so destination focused oftentimes, and it's unfortunate because then we miss out on the part of life that's actually satisfactory, I would argue, which is the chase itself, which is the journey itself. All right, so let's go over this now. Obviously, I'm not some guru. I'm not some monk. I don't claim to have life figured out entirely. But at 25 years old, I've done quite a bit with my life, and maybe it's not on paper, but as far as getting over fears, as far as trying to pave a way for a generation of men, as far as working in different industries, picking up different skills that some people don't pick up in their lifetime, and doing it all in 25 years, I've learned quite a bit. And so I want to share with you what I've learned. And it might be completely contradictory to what you've learned, but then we can audit our lives as a whole and see who's more satisfied in life overall. And then that might pose questions to you, the viewer, and to me. All right. So when it comes to these buckets, right? Health, wealth, and relationships. So when we talk about health, this one's, I mean, pretty easy, right? So do you have a functioning body, or do you have a fatal disease that's killing you day over day, right? So we imagine we'll take this very small at first. When you're sick, life is shit, right? Versus when you're sick, all you're focused on is, I just want to be healthy. I can't even enjoy anything right now. The food doesn't taste as good, or I can't taste it at all. I have no energy to go out and be social and drink and have fun or do whatever you planned on doing because I'm sick. I feel like shit. Even if a date does crop up, you're like, I don't even want to go on the date, man. I'm sick, right? So at a very micro level, we understand that health is very important. But then when we zoom in even further, we think, okay, and even if, let's say, we had the other two buckets taken care of, right? So wealth, you could have literally $500 million in the bank, and you could have all the girls you ever want. But if you're dying of cancer, what does it really matter anyways? Yeah. So this is once again, right now we're just proving that these three buckets you need to have at a baseline level for life to be satisfactory. And we're going to prove that one bucket at a time. So right now we're on health, right? So like I just said, you can have all the relationships, you can have all the hookups, you can have all the hot girls on the yacht that you want, and you could have all the money to pay for all these expensive trips. But if you know that you've got about 7 months left to live, um, you could have fun for those 7 months and then it's all over, right? So health is vital, and that one's pretty obvious. All right, so then we move on to wealth. All right, so wealth is also vital, and wealth means different things to different people. But for me, it's just enough money to pay for the essentials to live a life. Yeah, so modern day 2025 essentials, pretty much like they've always been, is just a place to lay your head, yeah, a safe place, a safe space to call home, a shelter. Some people's home is bigger, some people live in a shack. I'm living in a fucking closet sized Airbnb room right now, but I have no problems with it, right? I have a window here if I want fresh air. I've got a heater here if I get cold. I've got a comfortable twin sized bed here, and I've got power sources to plug. I got Wi Fi to upload my videos. So this is all I need, right? So when it comes to wealth, all we really need is shelter. We need enough money to buy food and to buy water, and ideally a little bit of play money as well to go on dates, to buy luxury things like juice, like soda, like chips, snacks, right? Not essentials, but just extra things to make us happy throughout the day, to a little bit of money to spend on our morning coffee, our morning latte, and some money to go out with friends every now and then, hit the bar, go play pool. I like to play pool with my dad. Yeah, and then obviously, if you get wealthier and wealthier, then you get even more play money to spend on nicer cars that you don't actually need, but the brand is cooler, right? Jewelry to make yourself feel better about yourself, and etc. Right? So, but once again, just proving that these are the necessary areas of life, because you can have health, right? You can be in tip top shape, and you could have all the relationships you want, right? Meaning you have all the girls lined up for you, or all the friendships that you'll ever want, great relationships with your parents. But if you are dirt poor, living in a shack, yeah, or worse, living on a street, life is shit, isn't it? Yeah. So once again, you could be as healthy as humanly possible. Yeah, no disease, no problems with your health at all. Rarely ever get sick. You can have the skill set, like let's say cold approach, to just go ahead and get a date whenever the fuck you want using the skill, right? So you could have the smooth talking tongue. You can have all the social calibration guys talk about. But if you have literally no money in the bank, life is still going to be shit, because if you do want to line up a date, you can't pay for a date anyways. Your card gets declined. You're way behind on rent. You're about to get evicted. There's so much stress that's induced from being in a state of financial scarcity 24/7, that you don't have even time to focus on the other areas of your life that could be fun, right? So if you don't have enough money to pay for rent, and you're living on the street, and you don't have enough money to pay for food, and you're panhandling for money, then you could have the healthiest circumstances as far as physically, mentally even, and you can have the skill set to get any girl you want, any relationship you want. But if you don't have any money to pay for the bare bone necessities of life, life sucks, doesn't it? All right. So that's proof that money is also, you need to have it baseline sorted. The more sorted, the better. But at least baseline is a necessity. So for me, that's an area for me that I'm at about baseline right now. I don't have a whole lot of money to spend on a whole lot of extra stuff. So I'm living cheap, I'm cutting my expenses, and I'm reinvesting all the extra money I have into this company so that I can grow it, so that eventually I'm making more money and I'm making more of an impact in the lives of more guys, right? So that's my example for for money, right? For wealth. And then just to jump back to the health category, I'd say I'm pretty much closer to the top end than the bottom end, right? I still have my youth. I still have a very slim frame. I have some lean muscle attached to it. I don't have any health complications. I was born with asthma, so that's about the worst complication I have right now. But I don't have any diseases that I know of, and no like recurring health problems at the moment. So I'm doing pretty good as far as health, right? Wealth, I'm about baseline. And then relationships, all right? So this is an area that I am like, as far as if we're weighing these on a scale, for me, I'm like way disproportionately further along than most guys when it comes to the relationship portion of life. And that was not always the case, just so you know, right? Guys that watch my content, they already know this. But I started way down here. Relationship was like the worst that I was the worst in this bucket, relationships, for the majority of my life. And then for the last 2.5 years, I've just been absolutely targeting that bucket. And so now that's why I'm way up here with it, okay? But when it comes to relationships, we can break this down into like platonic relationships and non-platonic relationships, right? So there's like two branches in this bucket. Both are very, very vital, but I'd argue that romantic is more important than platonic. And the reason is, firstly, if you're a guy who has neither, life sucks, right? So if you've got no friends, which would be platonic, and you've got no family members, maybe they're all passed or you're orphaned, whatever, then those would be platonic. But you also have no romantic partners and no way to get them, i.e., you're an incel. Life sucks because you can be the healthiest, most ripped guy, right? Let's go to the extreme end of the health spectrum. You can be a literal bodybuilder, jacked guy. And then we can go to the extreme end of the money spectrum as well. You can have, once again, $500 million in the bank. But if the relationship aspect of your life is shit, you have no friends, you have no family, and you have no romantic interest from girls, and you're having to buy hookers with the 500 million that you have in the bank, life is still going to be shit. Yeah, you're still getting your release because you can pay for top tier hookers, but internally you're going, I built all of this success in all of these other areas of my life, and I'm still not worth a girl wanting me for me. I have to give her money in exchange for her lust, right? And so that's going to really tear you down. Yeah. And so this is a very important area. And I'm going in the extreme direction just to define the buckets, but then we're going to talk about what baseline means for each of them and why that's important for everybody. But just think about that, right? So where were we at? Health, wealth. How did we get to this bucket? Were we talking about? I can't remember. I honestly don't remember how I got to this part, but we'll just roll with the punches. Yeah, I fucking brain freeze all the time. But okay, so let's move on to the bucket of relationships then. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. The two prongs of the bucket. All right, we're back on track, boys. See, I can think, I can speak. So the relationship bucket has the platonic end and the non-platonic end, right? So when it comes to the platonic end, if you lack both, but you're rich and you're ripped, life still sucks. But if you lack, let's say, romantic partners in your life, but you're able to have friends and you're able to have good relationships with your family, and you're rich and you're ripped, life still sucks, right? Because you still cannot get love from women that you want it from, and you're having to literally pay for it, i.e., hookers, right? So that's still going to be a shitty place in life. And this is close to where I was, honestly. Now, to be fair, I've never been rich and I've never been ripped, but I've had those areas sorted, right? So I was making six figures as a programmer at 22 years old, and I was working remotely, living in San Francisco, population of 1 million people, plenty of hot girls to choose from. Yet I could not get laid. And on top of that, I was in the best shape I was physically around that time as well. I was working from home, and I had a whole weight set up in the backyard that I was living in the backyard of the flat that I was living in. And so on my lunch breaks, in between coding sessions, I would just go out, I'd do some bench, I would do some squats, I'd do some deadlifts. So I was looking lean as shit. I was as strong as I've ever been. So I was, for me, I was top tier physically that I've ever been. Monetarily, same thing. I had 50,000 in the bank, and it was growing month over month. And I had all of the money coming in from this remote programming job. And on top of that, I had a decent friend group, right? I lived with a roommate who had ties to his local university, so I'd get invited to frat parties, this and that. And then we'd go out with his social circle from his school as well. And then I had my own friends from high school that lived now more into San Francisco area. And so we'd go out to concerts, we'd go out to bars and venues and stuff. But the one thing, so remember, both of every bucket is filled so far, right? Money, doing fine, more than enough money to spend on whatever. I was buying all these electric skateboards and all these fun toys and shit, right? Health, way more than enough. Healthiest I'd ever been, most muscle I'd ever had on my body, right? I was doing really good, but and even the first bucket of relationship, right? Platonic, family loved me, always going to barbecues and stuff, had enough friends to get me through the weekend every single time I had something to do, playing spike ball, then we got a barbecue, then we got a bonfire. But when it comes to romantic relationships, it was non-existent, and life still sucked. Life sucked. So even with every other bucket completely good, completely satisfactory, lacking anything in the bucket of romance absolutely sucked. All right? So once again, proving that all three of these buckets is completely vital to your life satisfaction, right? So now when we move on to the bucket of relationships, and so we can just, this one's pretty easy, right? So if you have great relationships, you're able to bang all the girls you want, and you have a fun social life, and you have a fun friend group, but your health is lacking and your finances are lacking, well, life is going to be shit, isn't it? Because your health is lacking, i.e., you're having a ton of health complications. Maybe you got a disease that means you don't have much longer to live. Maybe you've been diagnosed with lung cancer. What does it matter that you get to bang all these girls if you're going to die soon, right? And then we pan over to the wealth category, and you're also barely breaking even, behind on a few months of rent, yeah, about to get evicted from your apartment. What good is it that you can bang all these girls and have all these fun nights out if you don't have any money to spend on the dates, on the nights out, yeah, with your friends, whatever, right? So, all right, so I think I've proven the point here that each bucket is very, very vital, yeah? So, and here's the thing, you already knew this, right? The viewer already knows this, but sometimes we need to be reminded of this, okay? So, and then just to hammer it down one more time, right? So the example we used for health is the bodybuilder, right? Who would be considered peak health. I mean, we could ignore maybe the testosterone injections he's given himself and the heart palpitations that he might experience in the future, and just say like physically looking at the guy, very healthy, or let's just say a natural bodybuilder who's not injecting himself with hormones and stuff. That would be like peak male health in some people's eyes, right? And then we can say peak wealth would be a guy like uh, the guy that I've referenced before, this guy Jordan Welsh, right? This YouTuber who he's about my age, but he's like a multimillionaire, right? Sold his company for multiple millions. And in both scenarios, right? So the health guy has maxed out, let's say, the health bucket, and he was always chasing a certain look when he was doing his bodybuilding, right? But then we discussed he hits a certain bench press metric or a certain body fat percentage, and he thought that would make him happy. And then as soon as he hits the metric, he goes, that felt all right, but I'm not that satisfied. What's the next metric to hit? Further proving that reaching a destination, it might make us happy very, very shortly. Yeah, but it's a very fleeting emotion because as soon as we hit the metric, as soon as we hit the goal we set for ourselves, we either get pissed off that we've hit the goal and we go, damn it, I expected it to feel better, but it doesn't. Or we just set another goal further down the line, right? Or both. We feel pissed off that it didn't feel as good, and then we set another goal and say, all right, you know what? Now that I can bench 315, I want to go for 405. That's my next goal. Yeah, so further proving that even in the health bucket, it's all about the pursuit to get to the destination and not getting to the destination, right? This will all make sense towards the end of the live stream, by the way. So when it comes to the wealth category, we use our example of Jordan Welsh, right? I think he's 26, 27 years old and maxed out the wealth category, at least for a fucking 26-year-old multimillionaire. He's doing pretty good. Yeah. And he's gone on record on his own channel to say, he had a video and it was titled something like, I sold my company for millions and now I'm depressed. And I remember doing a live stream on that with that video as the topic because it was profound to me in that moment listening to what he had to say. He made that video like a day after he sold his company for multiple millions, and he admitted on camera he thought that the day he sold his company would be the happiest day of his life because then he was flooded with millions of dollars. He could do anything, buy anything, go anywhere, right? But he found that hitting the destination, arriving at the destination, made him sadder than the first sale he ever made. So excuse me, let me rephrase. He said verbatim, something along the lines of, selling the company and seeing that wire of money hit my account for $10 million or whatever it was, he said that made him less happy than the first ever sale he made when he was dirt broke and he was just getting his company off the ground. He said the first sale that he made him happier than selling the company for 8 figures. Insane, right? And so that Jordan Welsh's journey proves then that it's the same thing in the health category as it is in the wealth category. Hitting the destination is never as satisfying as we think it will be. And instead, what's the most satisfying is the pursuit to the destination, the travel, the journey to the destination, and all of the hardships and all of the lessons that you learn along the way, and all of the adversity that you overcome along the way, and the person you develop yourself into to get to the destination, the journey, that is what's the most stimulating and the most satisfying, is the journey itself. All right. And so hopefully you see where I'm going with this. Having teed up the health and the wealth categories using people that have achieved, let's say, top tier in those buckets, because I haven't, right? I'm not a bodybuilder. I've not achieved peak health, right? We could say, if that's peak health. And then peak wealth, right? I'm not a millionaire, so I've not achieved peak wealth. So I can't sit here and say that that I've done that and so it's not satisfactory. But I can just point to guys who have done that and go, well, the bodybuilder's never fucking satisfied, is he? In fact, those guys seem to be, those guys seem to feel the worst about their bodies because they keep looking in the mirror and they see one little ounce of fat on their body and they go, fuck me, I got to get rid of this. And they're meal prepping and they're doing all this force feeding themselves and injecting themselves with extra hormones or whatever supplements they're taking. And it's like, so there's proof that the journey is more satisfying than hitting a goal, right? Like a bench press max or a body fat percentage. Jordan Welsh is proof that hitting a monetary dollar amount and selling a company for 8 figures is less satisfying than developing yourself and developing your company to the point where you can sell it for 8 figures. All right. So then I get to tell you about the relationship bucket, all right, because this is a bucket that I have essentially maxed out, at least if we compare me to the vast majority of guys, right? So when we're talking about Ephraim's dating life, it's better than 99.99999% of men on this earth. I can say it with absolute certainty, not because I've seen the dating life of every guy, but just because by and large, I know for a fact that most guys that I pass by every day, every month, and every year cannot do what I can do when it comes to being assertive, being bold, walking over to a girl, flirting with her, engaging her in fun conversation, bold enough to close for her details, bold enough to take her on a date, how I operate on a date, yeah, bold enough to tell her I just want to bend her over when we're on the date. Like, the way that I can operate in these relationships, I just know most guys can. And it's only right because I spent the last 2.5 years really refining this area of my life. So it's only right? So we can use me as an example of a guy who's essentially maxed out the relationship bucket. Not to say I'm the best, right? Because there are plenty of guys with better dating lives than me. But when we're talking about, Jordan Welsh, there are plenty of guys that make 10 figures plus, but we can still look to him as a guy who's maxed out the wealth category, the wealth bucket. So same thing here. The fact that my dating life is represents a life better than 99.999% of guys that walk the earth, then we can use me as the example of somebody who's maxed out the relationship bucket, okay? And I have the same conclusion as the wealth and the health bucket, okay? Which is you're going to get to a point if you do build this skill set and you do apply it and you actually learn the way that I teach it and the techniques that I give you, you're going to get to a point. Isaac is starting to get to this point already, yeah, where you're able to line up dates whenever you want. And when you start to line up these dates whenever you want, you're going to inevitably go on the dates, learn how to operate on the dates, learn how to get the girl to come back. Obviously, same thing applies. Some girls are just going to want to come back with you. Some girls are simply not going to want to come back with you. Guys talk about ratios, percentages, fuck it. You go on enough dates, enough girls are going to come back with you. Essentially, what I'm saying is you're going to bang enough girls. And the same thing is going to be true. Yeah, you're going to realize that every time, and I mean every time, that I've been in a situation where I've approached a girl, taken her out on a date, brought her back to mine, and had my happy ending with her, as soon as the climax is over, I look around, right? Maybe this is maybe let's say 30 minutes after, and I've sent her on her way to her. I've sent her an Uber home. I'm in my bedroom alone. I'm looking around, dark room, right? Probably a Saturday night, and I'm going, huh. So that was it, huh? That was it. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, felt great, felt amazing. But as the refractory period starts to arrive, and as I start to think about the other things I could have been doing with my Saturday night, as I start to think about my parents who are growing older, and as I start to think about the other guys that want to be able to have experiences like this, but simply are stuck in this phase of incelness and they just don't have a way out of it, I start to wonder if all the time and effort I invested into getting this date, taking her out, spending some money on the drinks, flirting with the girl, making out, just to have this one climax experience. Maybe we date for a little while, or maybe it's just a one night stand kind of thing. Inevitably, I go, I guess the phrase here is, was the juice worth the squeeze? Yeah. And so what I'm getting at is a lot of the satisfaction that you're going to get, you're going to find, I guarantee it. The same way this is what I found, my clients, my friends who also approach, a lot of the satisfaction with this skill set does not come from getting the actual happy ending. It doesn't come from when you're shagging the girl, when she's bent over on your bed and you climax. You think that that's what the satisfaction is going to be. But in reality, as soon as you climax, you look around, right? Empty room, dark lights. She's on her Uber, on her way home in the Uber, and you go, I mean, that was great. Don't get me wrong, but like that was the destination. That's where I've gotten to, and then it's never going to be enough. Then you're going to want to approach more, bang more girls, etc. It's going to be a continuous cycle. And then you're finally going to realize that the benefits that you're getting is the actual journey itself, is who Ephraim had to develop himself into in order to be able to get these experiences very consistently. Yeah, the kind of guy that I had to become, yeah, which meant, that is one sentence, but it holds a lot of weight, right? That all of the adversity I had to face, all of the rejections I had to face, all of the times I had to metaphorically pick myself up off of the pavement, all of the times I was doubting myself, I was doubting if this works. All of the times it was before a date, right? I finally had a date set up, and I was wondering if she was actually going to show up or if she was going to flake. I was waiting on her to text saying that she's on her way, but I didn't get the text, right? So many times where I didn't get the text, and then I double texted, I never got a text back, and I go, fuck, I got ghosted. I thought I had a date. Like all of the times where I did show up to the date and then it went shit. All the times where I did show up to the date, she showed up to the date, it went amazing, and then I said, do you want to come back with me? And she said no, never heard from her again. It's like the person that you've developed yourself into as far as adversity, ability to handle adversity, face rejection, and get back up. Yeah, leadership skills, the leadership skills you build from going on enough dates, learning that you need to be a leader in order to lead her back to your spot, right? So you've got to develop leadership skills. And it's like, I've realized, and so will you if you embark on this journey, that the most satisfying part of this is the journey to a new identity. And it's an ever changing identity too, because once I got to the identity of a guy who can just go out, get the date, get the girl, and then bang her the same day. And that happened a few times. I go, okay, this is cool, but like, what's next, right? And then the identity goes up here again, and I go, okay, now I'm chasing that identity. So what's that? Oh, now it's the guy who can actually teach the skill set to other guys and help them get out of this scenario. All right, boom, I've done that a bunch of times now. Coach guys in different continents now. Okay, what's next? How many other guys can I get up here, right? How many other guys can I free from the sexual frustration, right? So the next identity is up here. What do I need to develop myself into to be able to do that? All right, I need to get rid of all these bad habits. I need to stop smoking. I need to stop being addicted to nicotine. I need to stop doing this and that, right? And there's all this stuff, right? I need to stop. I need to release myself from my old friends who want to just get drunk with me. Yeah, I need to stop chasing tail all the time and use these girls as demonstration only, because I know that the climax is great, but then I'm going to be tired. Then I'm going to get worse footage tomorrow because I went out, I had some drinks, and then I was tired up till 3 a.m. So instead, I'm just going to not go on dates this month and focus on the footage so that I can prioritize the movement. And it's like, the person that you're becoming in order to get to the destination is always more satisfying than ever arriving at the destination, because some of you that are watching this probably similarly have maxed out other buckets, such as your wealth, right? Career. Yeah, you're working a 6-figure job. It's more money than you'll ever fucking need. Yeah, you're making enough money to get by, plus some, plus buy the BMW, plus go on fancy swanky dates, plus go on vacations with your boys, right? So it's like, you've probably essentially maxed out one or both of the other buckets. But if you're watching my content, it's likely you've not maxed out the relationship bucket, probably not even gotten close, right? So I'm here to tell you that right now, in that position, you're probably thinking that the climax is what's going to do it for you. But hopefully one day when we work together, you can come back to this video and this will all make sense now, because you'll have developed yourself into the guy that can get the sexual experience when he wants. And so now that you can have it, the next priority is gonna raise in your mind, because right now, if you're a sexually frustrated guy, top priority is getting laid. But once you know you can get laid, it goes down. Yeah, it goes way down further into the pile of priorities, and next priority comes up to the top. All right, if that makes sense. So yeah, so now we've talked about maxing out the relationship category and why maxing this category out similarly to maxing out the other categories does not solve life for you, and reaching a destination, whatever you thought the max was for that bucket, is not going to make you nearly as happy as you think. It's not going to be nearly as satisfying as you think. So then with all of this, right, let's go back to the paragraph I read to you. What have we learned then from understanding the health category from guys that are bodybuilders and physically superior? What have we learned from the wealth category from guys like Jordan Welsh who build wealth at a very early age, even just to realize, okay, now I'm rich, now what? I still want something to do with my time. I still want a mission. I still want to accomplish stuff in the world, right? It's not like he gets the $10 million wired to his account and he goes, all right, for the rest of my life, I'm just going to move to the Bahamas and I'm just going to sit on a beach and chill, right? It's like, that's what we think we'll want to do. And then he gets to the position where he can do that and he goes, that's the last thing I want to do. Yeah, now I want to go and create even more. Now I want to help the world even more, right? So we've learned about that from the wealth category, and then now you've learned firsthand from me that the same is true about the relationship category. Yeah, because you can max out the relationship angle and essentially you can have a new sexual experience pretty much whenever you want. And just the fact that you can is usually enough, right? It doesn't, you're not even going to want to exercise it as much as you think. And now you get to focus your attention on more lucrative tasks. Yeah, so instead of like, oh, now I can bang all the girls whenever I want, so I'm going to do that. Instead of that, you're going to get that out of your system. It'll take you a couple months to go through a few girls, get that out of your system, and then you're going to go, okay, well, now that I know I can have that, do I still want that? Not really. No, now it's time to focus on like next priority up. All right, so let's reread the paragraph, and then we'll give the wrapping up final thoughts. All right, so the paragraph that I wrote to myself as I was dramatically staring at my reflection on the London Underground Tube Victoria line today was, if life is about the journey and we're always dissatisfied when we reach what we thought was the destination, then we should not only focus on enjoying the journey, but we should also make the journey as enjoyable as possible. Okay, so what am I saying there? Instead of being so destination focused at all, right? All three buckets, just now let's condense it into just life overall. instead of thinking that getting to a certain point, getting to a certain body fat percentage, getting to a certain bench press max, getting to a certain number in the bank, figure in the bank account, right? Or getting to a certain body count when it comes to relationships. Instead of thinking that getting to any of these like destination metrics that we all have in our heads, and it's going to be different than for me than it is for you, but instead of thinking that that's going to make you happy, take a step back and recognize that that's actually not going to change a fucking thing. You're going to get 5 seconds of like, nice, I did it, I hit my goal. And then you're going to look around and you're not going to feel that much different. Life's not going to be that much different. And you're going to go, okay, what am I going to do now? Right? I still have like the rest of my life to live. What should I do with my time now? All right. So rather than attaching so much importance to I need to hit the destination, we need to instead attach importance and really live in the moment, right? Like the older I get, the more I realize how true some of these quotes were when people say stuff like stop and smell the roses. This life that we're living today, right? What's the date? September 21st, 2025. This is the roses. These are the roses, right? So I was thinking in the tube, I was like, God, I'm tired today. I got to film. I just can't wait till I have all the clients in the world to coach. I can't wait till I got all the money in the world to fly wherever I want. I can't wait until this and until that. And then I remember I caught myself and I went, no. Because when I'm 45, I will give, when I am 45, in that moment, I would give everything and give up everything in my life to be back here at 25 years old in London, England for the first time, grinding, tired, half falling asleep on this train ride over to Dirty Dan to film more content, because that was the beginning of the journey. And that's when I first started taking off. And that's when I was grinding away every single day. And it felt like a grind, and it is a grind, right? And right now in the moment, I'm just thinking, wow, it'll be so nice when I don't have to film every day anymore. It'll be so nice when everybody's paying me for immersions and I got all this money in the bank and I can do whatever I want. And then I remember, no, it's not, right? When I hit what, 10 immersions, that's not going to be enough. When I hit 50, that's not going to be enough. When I hit $1 million in the bank, that's not going to be enough. I'm going to continue to think, now what? Just like my entire life has been up until this point, right? I thought when I get the 6-figure programming job, that's going to be enough. Then I hit it and I went, life still sucks. I don't have the relationship category figured out. So then I went and I spammed relationship category. I got that figured out. I got all the sexual experiences I'll ever need. And then I went, that's not enough either. What's next? Okay, now I want to create a mission in my life. Now I want to like chase something and try to change the world. And then I'm probably going to achieve that in the next 10, 15 years. And I'm going to get there and I'm going to go, oh wait, I thought this was going to be enough, and it's still not, right? So like the point that we're getting at in the live stream is, rather than attaching the importance to whether or not we're close enough to hitting the destination, we should just remember that these are the moments. Yeah, the journey. This is the roses. Stop and smell the roses every day. These are the roses. The grind, the adversity that you're having to overcome on a daily basis. Yeah, if we're talking about you and the relationship bucket, the fact that you're not there yet, this is the moment to enjoy, because as soon as you get over this hump and as soon as you're able to have these sexual experiences that you think are going to solve everything for you, you're going to look back and you're going to go, okay, like this is great. It's definitely better to be on this side than to be sexually frustrated. But my favorite part about this whole journey was from when I first started to approach to getting over each and every little tripwire, right? When it came to like, oh, I'm talking too quiet. I don't know how to stop the girl yet. Oh, no, I stopped her, but I don't know how to engage in conversation. I keep freezing up. Okay, now I can chat to her in a smooth way, but I don't know how to get her number. Oh, I got her number, but she always flakes. Oh, she's not flaking because I learned how to set up a date in the interaction, but she didn't show up for the date. Oh, but now she showed up, but the date went shit. Oh, now the date went well, but now she doesn't want to come back with me. Then she came back with me, but then she didn't want to actually fuck. She's waiting for a second date. Oh, now I'm getting a banger. And it's like, that journey that you're going to have to go through in order to get to this position, that is the part that's so fun, exhilarating. You don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen, if it's ever going to happen, and that's the fun part of it, yeah? So that is the journey. Those are the roses. That's what we should be focused on, is just enjoying every moment. Now, this is easier said than done, right? It's easy for me to say, as somebody who's living a life that I really love, and all buckets are baseline filled minimum, right? Health is like, up here. Wealth is down here, but it's still baseline. I'm not homeless. I can eat every day. I'm fine. I can still afford dates if I want to. And then relationship bucket is essentially maxed out, right? I mean, it could always get better, but it's top tier. I don't need anything more. I don't need to be able to go on any more dates. Yeah. Even though I know I can whenever I want to. So it's like, as somebody who's maxed out the buckets, it's a lot easier for me to say that we should stop and smell the roses and stop being so destination focused, because I've essentially gotten everything sorted in life at a baseline level. So it is a very satisfying life to be living. But here's where the second part of the paragraph comes in. I say, which means rather than existing in an everyday life that we hate, hoping that happiness is achieved once we reach the destination, we should instead focus on creating an everyday life that we love, knowing that the destination is never as satisfying as we imagined. Okay? So, what am I saying with this paragraph? This is what I used to do, right? This is essentially like Red Pill's whole message is grind, grind, grind. Even though life sucks right now, just put your head down, build more muscle because you could always be more muscular, build more wealth because you could always be richer, get more looks max because you could always be more looks max, right? Bang more girls because it's never going to be enough. That's their whole message is like never focus on the now and instead accept that life is shit now, work your shit job, and then throw your happiness over to the destination, and then whenever you inevitably reach the destination, then you're going to be happy. But it's false, right? So rather than trying to like burrow through, right? Like this is what I was essentially doing when I was working in tech sales, right? I was thinking that because here, we'll let the sirens pass, hopefully it's not picking up. So I was thinking that if I could just get a remote job, then I can invest into the channel, right? This is like my thought process. I was going at one point, about a year and a half ago, I was unemployed. So I thought, if I can just get a good paying job, then I'll be able to invest more into the channel, right? Then I could chase my mission. And then I got a decent paying job in leasing. I was getting my commission checks and I was going, okay, I'm making money now, but I'm like tied to a location. So if I could just get a remote job that's high paying, then I could just fly anywhere and then I could invest into the channel. And then I got that remote job and I realized it was way more time consuming than I expected it to be. This tech sales job, right? I was working the 8-hour days, cold calling all day, and then I would clock out of work and I would make sure to line myself up for the next day of work. And I was not doing shit on this channel, on this mission, right? And so then I was thinking, okay. But as soon as my boss lets me go international, then surely I'll invest into the channel, right? I would be like, no, just give me like 4, 5, 6 months of ramping up in this job, and then I'll have systems in place to make it so that I don't have to work all day and all night at this job, and then I'll invest into the channel. And I kept throwing it to the destination. I kept being destination focused and going, I will pursue my mission once I hit this milestone. And then I'd hit the milestone and I'd go, no, circumstances are not, I'm not ready yet. Circumstances are not perfect yet. So then I would throw the mission to another milestone, and it just kept repeating itself. And then finally I realized it's either now or never, right? If this is top of mind for me, if I want to change the world in this manner, if I want to help guys out of this romantic scarcity that they've been living in for years, potentially decades, why don't I just start right the fuck now? I've got enough money in the bank to give me a few months of runway. I got enough people that consistently watch the videos and have been reaching out to me asking for coaching. Why don't I just burn the boats and just say, fuck it, let me live that life right now? And I've been doing it only for about 2.5 months now. And I've never been more satisfied holistically with life ever. And I've had periods of time where I looked better physically and I had more muscle. And I've had periods of time where I had more money in the bank and I could spend money on extra stuff and buy fancier, flashier things. And I've had moments where I was more focused on banging chicks. And so relationship category was even higher because I was going on new dates with new girls every other week. But I've never been in a position where each bucket has been, at the very least, baseline filled, meaning the health category is baseline and way above it. The money category is baseline, right at baseline. And then the relationship category is way above baseline. I can have it whenever I want it. But then the next step is I'm waking up every day living a life that I want to be living. Because remember what we just discussed this entire live stream. We keep thinking that once we get to the destination, that's what unlocks the happiness. But in reality, the happiness is found in the everyday attempt at getting to the destination, which means rather than trying to attach the happiness to like, once I hit a milestone, then I'll love life, let's love life today. Let's align ourselves and our life. Let's structure our life in a way that gives us what we want today. So what did I not like about my life back then? I didn't like that I was firstly working East Coast hours while living in the West Coast. So I was having to I was having to wake up. Here, I'll turn the light on. It's getting a little dark. So I was having to wake up at like 5:30 a.m. to start my job at 6 a.m. I hated that, which means I had to be in bed by like 8, 9 p.m. or unless I'd be super tired the next day. I didn't like that, right? I also didn't like that I was doing something that I really, really hated. I was picking up a phone and I was trying to sell a product that I didn't even believe in. I just thought, this is making me money. And I hated the way that I had to go about it. And I hated the script that I was given. They made me follow this shitty script. And I hated that every other person hung up on me and said, stop calling me, Ephraim. I don't want your product. Stop fucking calling me. Lose my number. And I hated that I just felt like a nuisance every day. So the people that I was reaching out to, and I hated that the days where I didn't hit my metrics, I felt like shit. And the days I did hit my metrics, I just felt like I was doing my job, right? It's like I never felt good. I just felt like either when I crushed it and I made 3 sales, I just felt like, whew, okay, all right, I'm not gonna get fired. And then when I didn't hit any sales, I felt like, oh, fuck me, I'm gonna get fired. But I never felt good, right? And then I hated that every time 9 p.m. rolled around on a weekday, I just dreaded having to go to bed because I knew I had to wake up and do it all over again. And I hated that when Friday rolled around, I could only enjoy like Friday night because as soon as Saturday came, I was going, oh my God, 2 days until I'm back at this fucking job again. And I hated that when I said I wanted to travel, even though it was a fully remote job, they said that I cannot travel. Right? So it's like all of these things about everyday life I disliked, and I was going through it because I was using destination mentality and thinking, okay, but like once this, then I'll like my life, right? Once I do this for long enough, then I'll like my life. And there was this big conflict that I was feeling because I knew that I could produce more and give more to the world. And I also knew that there were people that were waking up every day that actually enjoyed their life every day. Not just like, oh, in 5 years when I'm actually an account executive and I'm making all this money and closing all these deals, then I'll like my life, which probably wouldn't even be true anyways because I just have more responsibility and be working longer hours. So what are we getting at, man? Now, guess what? I fly to whatever fucking country I want to. Literally, I flew to London to do filming. Yeah, last month I was in Belgrade, Serbia, of all places, meeting up with my friends from the entourage. Yeah, I was meeting up with some guys out there, and we are just having a blast, going to restaurants. Cost of living was way cheaper out there. So every day I was able to eat out at a restaurant. Something that would have cost me £100 in London was costing me like £20 back in Belgrade, right? And so we're eating out, we're just having a blast, yeah. We're staying up late 2, 3 a.m. just chatting around a dinner table, talking about our dreams and our goals and the way that we view the world. And we were just trading notes on life in general and what we thought about different concepts. Yeah. And then by day, I was waking up, I was taking the GoPro out, I was approaching hot girls, I was making content, I was going on dates and filming the dates, right? So that was also fun. And then 2 weeks into being in Belgrade, I was having clients fly over to learn the skill set from me. So I was changing their lives on a daily basis. They would come over, now they got dates, and it's like every day I would wake up and I would like what I had ahead of me, right? I would wake up, I'd open my eyes, and I'd actually want to get out of bed because I'm like, oh, nice. Yeah, I have time to go hit the gym, focus on my physique. I have time to go meet up with my friends, have dinner. I got time to go help this guy out, help him learn how to get dates, right? I have time to go on dates myself, right? Now about a month after that, I'm in London, England, and I'm waking up, and sure, some days I'm more fatigued. I'm doing this shit 30 days in a row. Some days I'm gonna be fatigued, but I wake up and I go, oh, nice. Today I'm gonna go chat to hot girls and film it and make content and change the world again. Today I'm gonna go invest into my community that I run, and I'm gonna help those guys get a better dating life again. Yeah, rather than, oh fuck, today it's 5 a.m. Now I gotta wake up and start cold calling for the next 8 hours, and then line up the other people to call tomorrow for the next 4 hours, and then I got to do it all over again on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Fuck me, I don't want to live this life right now, right? So it's like, that's what I'm trying to get across with this live stream, all right? Is rather than existing in an everyday life that you hate, thinking that just burrowing through that difficult period of everyday life that you're despising is somehow going to make you happy at the end when you finally get the job promotion or you finally reach some sort of like figure in the bank account. It's not, all right? It's not. So rather than living through a life that you just hate and hoping that once you hit this certain destination, then all of a sudden you're going to achieve happiness, we should instead focus on just creating an everyday life that we love to live. Just just I guess fuck, I could summarize this entire live stream by saying today is the destination. The happiness that you thought you would feel from hitting a milestone is actually what you should be feeling today. So if you're not satisfied with how today went and you didn't like what you had to do when you woke up in the morning, that's the problem. So you need to figure out the age of the fucking internet. We got TikTok dancers making millions of dollars. We got kids doing stupid TikTok dances, making enough money to out earning a yearly salary, right? It's like age of the internet. There's a way out of this, right? There's a way out of the rat race. If you're a guy that wants to be employed, by all means, spam it, right? But if you're somebody like me who just hates being controlled, then there is a way out of it, all right? And so rather than trying to like work, and then one day maybe I'll take the risk, just take it now. Yeah, we're not getting any younger. Life is too fucking short. And we got one shot. We only have one provable shot on the earth. One provable shot. Whether or not you're religious and believe in reincarnation is another story. But without a shadow of a doubt, everybody can prove that they exist here. Yeah, but unfortunately, we can't prove that we exist any further than here. So let's make our existence here something that we actually want to live, because although life is short, we are here for a long time. In relatively speaking, one day at a time. And if we live to about 70 years old, that's a lot of fucking days compounded. Do you want to live all of those days hating your life, hating your dating life, hating the life that you're living? Probably not. All right. Which to wrap up the video. So if you are living in a state of romantic scarcity and you're tired of it, then reach out for help. Yeah, no judgment. I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to ridicule you. I'm just here to help. All right. So I've got my link in the description below. I've already helped guys in different countries and different continents, and I can help you as well, assuming you have baseline characteristics about you. Yeah, and you have a work ethic. You're ready to put in some work, because it's not easy. So yeah, click the link in the description below if you'd like my help. You can apply for a call, an application call, just to see if you're a good fit. There's no charge to the call. And if you're not a good fit, I'll just be honest about it. I won't even pitch you my offer, and I certainly won't take your money if you're not a good fit. I'll just point you in the right direction. I'll give you a game plan so that you can start improving your dating life. All right. But yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss today. So I hope you boys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon. All right. Onwards and upwards.